Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Stephanie Anya. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about navigating or dealing with hurtful family dynamics. If you're curious, stay tuned. All right, guys, so this is one of those videos that's actually based on my own personal life experience. I'm coming without an outline. I really kind of decided to do it last minute because I was talking with one of my clients yesterday, and I just feel like this is something that a lot of my clients deal with, and I was dealing with it personally. And I've already made a video about dealing with like meddlesome, toxic family members, and that's kind of a different breed. What I'm really talking about here, when you feel like you've got tension with certain family members, maybe there have been hurts in the past and you never really addressed it. I'm talking about relationships where there is love, but there's also a lot of hurt. I'm talking about relationships that are salvageable. This is what I am recommending to you. So for me, growing up, I grew up in I would say pretty tight-knit family. And I felt that, in our family, I always prided myself on the fact that, we could go travel together, be together, 5 days out of the week and really not have any issues. I considered it to be a very healthy family. I haven't really been seeing my family much during COVID. And so I've started kind of slowly re-engaging, and I started realizing like, wow, some of these wounds that I just kind of ignored for many years, maybe I should deal with it. As you get older and you start having more experiences, you start realizing the specific things that hurt you, the things that come up in other relationships that trigger you and bother you. And often we don't know what to do with those feelings because what's already been done feels like it was done so long ago. There's really nothing I can do about it now other than just deal with it and suffer. And I'd been really reflecting on my family and things that have happened through the years. And I do believe my family is very healthy and close, but I also think that there is opportunity for improvement. There always is. And so I thought, what's my part in contributing to that? Because I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I'd like to think that just as I love my marriage, I want to be able to say that I love my family dynamic and I help to contribute to a healthy family dynamic. So I decided that the best thing to do would be to journal, because I spent some time with some family and I left feeling so anxious. I was so anxious. For me, my top coping skill is journaling. I like to write down how I'm feeling. The good thing about journaling is it requires me, because I have to concentrate on what I'm writing, to focus on a single thought at a time, to focus on a single word, letter at a time. So it slows down my thoughts and it helps me unpack what is bothering me. And I try to be as honest as possible, because it normally starts with something that would be more acceptable for me to be bothered by, and it transforms and evolves into the authentic, real reason that I'm bothered, even if that thing feels trivial, silly, pointless. I try to allow myself to go there in my journal. And for me, going to my journal helped me realize that a lot of my anxiety was tied to a specific person. And so I said, okay, what can I do about this? Now that I've been honest with myself about what's bothering me, why don't I write out all of these certain things that I feel like I wish I could talk to this person about? I'm gonna grab my journal. Okay, so for me, I wrote all this stuff down, and this is what my real recommendation is to you all. This is how you think about, deal with, and process trauma, family toxicity, or even just your own triggers and anxiety-provoking thoughts. So the first thing is, write down questions that you have for that person in your family, especially if ideally it's a relationship that you would like to repair or heal. So I started out with questions. I started out with, I feel like things were good until then. Do you agree? Well, first question was, I feel like our relationship isn't what it used to be. Do you agree? And, based on that, you can kind of create your talk track about the questions that you want to ask. And then you want to make sure that you're putting yourself in a space where you can hold yourself accountable. One of the questions I had on here was, what are some of the ways that I've hurt you? And what opportunities do I have to help heal your hurt? Because often we are engaging conversations with the expectation that another person, they need to get on their knees and beg for our forgiveness. But sometimes it's a mutual conversation about what needs to be done. Now, again, I'm not talking about really abusive relationships, really toxic relationships. I'm talking about relationships where there is love, but there's also a lot of hurt. These are opportunities for you to resolve and repair those relationships so that you have more love in your life, less hate, less frustration, less anxiety. This is the kind of relationship that I'm talking about in this video. Then the next thing I would encourage you to do, make a list of specific memories that have negatively impacted you. And this way, when they say, when have I ever done that, XYZ, you've got some things you can lean back on, because a lot of times in conversations, we can be so put on the spot, especially if it's one that's already emotionally charged, that we feel like we don't have any examples and we just say, oh, well, you definitely did it. So try to sit there and reflect, because it might actually become clear that you don't have a lot of examples and maybe this isn't really as big of a problem as you thought. Or you might have so many examples that you realize how important it is for you to have a conversation. So I made a specific list of experiences or memories that I had and how those things made me feel and how they have affected me going forward. Another very important part for this conversation, I made a list of things that I appreciate about that person. Again, I'm talking about relationships that are salvageable, relationships where you just want to see them improve, and you know that if you address the hurt, maybe you're dealing with a fairly reasonable person. If you address that hurt, then you have the opportunity to really focus on the positive. And so making a list of things you appreciate might also give you the balance you need when you're talking to them, so that it doesn't feel like an attack and the conversation can actually be productive. Now, it can stop there. It can stop at writing these things out. That can be therapeutic enough. But for me, I have seen in the past where taking that next step of actually scheduling time to speak with the person face to face has been very beneficial, because, first of all, if I just keep it to my journal, I'll never know what their opinions are, right? My feelings are probably going to stay where they are, maybe with a little bit more understanding and comprehension. If we do it via text, chatting, then we get a lot lost in translation. But sometimes if you know that you're dealing with a person that might be volatile or really have anger management issues, that might be the best thing, so that both of you have time to think about your responses and not further the hurt with a very volatile interaction. For me, that face-to-face conversation, one way to disarm the person is to say, like, hey, I want to take you out. If you have the means, maybe you can invite them over for dinner. Maybe you can pay to take them somewhere. Maybe you guys have a certain place you used to love to go all the time, like the museum. An opportunity for you to really create a safe space and be able to talk about these things that are probably going to be emotionally charged. And so one thing that I realized that in initiating the conversation for myself is that I was very honest about how I felt, even about scheduling it. I let them know, like, I'm actually really, really nervous to have this conversation. So for me, the sooner the better. And they were so respectful of that. And they wanted to make sure they made it a priority to speak with me. And so when you have family members, friends, even, where you have this opportunity to salvage and repair a relationship, I'd encourage you to go into it with a lot of intentionality. Have your talk track, know the things you need to talk about. Think about the things you're appreciative of, the things that have hurt you, the questions that you have. It can be that simple, to moving a relationship from being filled with tension, worry, angst, to being loving and open, and you feel really close to them because now you guys have bonded over being able to effectively resolve something. Also, keep in mind, you might not be able to address everything in a single meeting. There might be needs for follow-ups. Maybe you make it a regular monthly habit to get together so that you can continue repairing and building on that bond. I don't want people to think that their only way to deal with tension or anxiety in relationships is to cut people off. I see so much of that, and the more you cut people off, the more alone you feel. There are times where that is the safest and best thing for you to do, because maybe that person is not reasonable and they won't work with you to make you feel safer. But when you have even the slightest inkling that someone could work with you, maybe they can help put some of your fears and hurts at rest. Maybe they will apologize. Maybe they can share with you the things that you could do to make them feel safer with you. Then it's such a beautiful thing to know that a person that you've once loved or have always wanted to love actually loves you back and is open to receiving your love. So I wanted to leave you guys with some of those tips just based on my personal life and what's happening with my clients as well. The more love that we can experience in our life, the more peace we can experience, the better quality of life we will have. So let me know if you have other questions about this topic, or maybe tips that have been helpful for you and you've dealt with a difficult family member or friend. Put those below. I thank you for watching this video. I ask that you like it, subscribe to my channel, share it with anyone that you think might find it useful. And I just want to thank you so much for watching this video all the way until the end. That really helps me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.